The Kent School District Board meetings are held in public on the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month at 7 p.m. at the Administration Center in accordance to the Washington State Open Public Meetings Act. Regular meetings include presentations and reports dealing with district operations, as well as time set aside for public comment. Now, here are your Kent School District Board of Directors. Welcome to tonight's board meeting.
Well, on behalf of all administrators present, as well as other guests and their family members, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Vargas, we really are excited to spend some time with you this evening and to celebrate, as Dr. Vargas said. We're thrilled to bring you some outstanding individuals. You certainly have already taken formal action as a board and have approved their employment and endorsed their qualifications, but we want the opportunity to start putting faces with names. We know that you always enjoy the opportunity when you're visiting in buildings or departments around this site to see friendly faces and to engage in conversation. So we're starting that process tonight. We are going to be introducing our new administrator team members to you by division. I will start off in the Division of Human Resources, then we'll be followed that by Luann Decker, and then we might flip a coin to see who goes next, but probably Dr. Del Giudice, and followed up by Mr. Wynn. As the individuals come forward, each chief, as Dr. Vargas has indicated, will say a very few brief remarks about the individual. You've previously received a more extensive profile of the candidates. We do have a pin that we'd like to just present to them as a very small token of our esteem and appreciation, and we do want to take the time to meet their family should they be able to join us this evening. With that in mind, I'm going to ask Damon Hunter to come forward.
Well, let's give him a round.
Damon has joined Human Resources as a director, and he comes to us most recently from the Highline School District, where he was a very successful and a very well-respected high school administrator. And he brings a perspective on staffing and recruitment and working with the high school administrative team that we certainly have valued. So, Damon, thrilled that you're here. Looking forward to a lot of good work on your part.
Thank you.
Okay. And thank you. And at this time, I'm going to ask Luann Decker, our Chief Academic and Innovation Officer, to come forward. Luann has kind of a dual role tonight. She certainly is introducing administrators to you, but she is also one of our new administrators. And if I may just take a brief moment, Luann is a veteran administrator in this general area. Most recently, she has served for a number of years in Auburn, most recently for the past 6 as the Associate Superintendent down there. And we're just very, very, very thrilled and honored that she's joined us in this very important leadership capacity. So welcome, Luann.
Thank you.
And with that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great.
So what I'd like to do is actually ask my whole entire division to please come up, and if you're new, which I think that's all but one. And so if you're in my division, please come up, and also if you're an assistant principal or a principal new to the Kent School District, please come up because I will be introducing you as well.
Wow. All right. Very cool. 30% of this district.
Mama.
Clear the benches.
So what I'd like to do for the board tonight is just to say a few words about each individual. They're going to step forward, and if they have family here today or anyone they would like to introduce, they're going to have a chance to do that as well. So the first person I would like to introduce is Allison Dino. She is our new school improvement officer. She comes to us from the Bellevue School District, where she was previously a veteran elementary principal, and she has also been a district level administrator in ELL, Title I, and LAP. So please welcome Allison. I would then like to introduce Brad Brown. He is also one of our new school improvement officers, sort of new, but Brad joined the Kent School District in December from Tacoma. He originally started as a director in student services, and he will continue to support the district and the building and the schools in this new role. So please welcome Brad Brown. Matt Patterson is our interim executive director of Inclusive Ed Services. Matt comes to us from Noah Pitas, California, where he was an experienced special ed administrator, and we're real excited to have him in our leadership in our inclusive ed department.
Yeah.
My next one is Anne Valenzulo. She is our Executive Director of Standards-Based Instruction. Anne served in the West Haven Public Schools in Connecticut as a coordinator of English Language Arts, Social Studies, Library Media, Assessment, and Common Core State Standards. So please welcome Anne. Next, I have Will Williams. She is our Director of Multilingual Education. Will actually shortened her commute when she joined Kent School District, but that's not the reason she came. She knew this was a great place to be. But she previously served in the Tukwila School District as the Director of ELL and Student Services. So please welcome Will. And Paige Mayer, please step forward. Paige is our new Director of Early Learning, but she is, I know, a familiar face for each of you. She took on a new position this year as our Director of Early Learning after serving the last 2 years as Principal of Kent Elementary School. So thank you, Paige. Another familiar face, Dylan Smith. He is our new Director of Professional Development. Dylan was instrumental team member in helping the district in our TPEP implementation and will benefit from his leadership and professional development. And for the past 3 years, Dylan served as the assistant principal at Northwood Middle School. My next is Joe Libby. He is a new Assistant Director of Inclusive Ed. Joe brings to the Kent School District a strong background in special ed and alternative learning programs. He most recently worked in Colorado. So welcome, Joe. And I would like Shane Begiu to step forward. He is also a new Assistant Director of Inclusive Ed, but a familiar face. As you recall, Shane left us in June to accept a position in Seattle, but we're so happy he actually decided to return. And most recently, he served for the last 3 years as an Assistant Principal at Neely O'Brien Elementary School, and I know he would like to introduce his family who's here today.
Thank you so much. I want to introduce my mother, Ruth, my wife, back there signing up, KSD Vargas. We have my son, Xavier, in the green, my sister, Nancy Valencia. We have my brother-in-law, Jaime Valencia, my daughter, Juliana, and I think we left our dogs at home.
I would like Alice Humphreys to step forward. She is our new Coordinator of Early Learning. She comes to us as a veteran elementary educator, and Alice previously served in the Renton School District and the Bellevue School District. So we're really happy to have her at Kent Valley. Another familiar face, Patty Drobny. And she was not able to be here today, but I know she's a familiar face for you. But she was previously the principal at Sue's Creek, and we're excited that, and she previously taught at Daniel Elementary too, so she kind of returning to Daniel. Michael Jackson, please step forward. Perfect. Michael served he is our new principal at Jenkins Creek Elementary. He served the last 4 years as the assistant principal at Panther Lake Elementary, and this is his first principal assignment, so we're really excited to have him. So please welcome Michael. Brian Patrick. Brian is our new interim principal at Kent Elementary. Brian was the principal of Valley Elementary School in the Methel Valley for the last 4 years. He's a veteran educator who has a long time tie to Enumclaw School District as well, and he's excited to return to the west side of the state. So please welcome Brian. Kathy Landowski. Thank you. Kathy is also a familiar face. She is going to be our principal at Lake Youngs. She previously served as a principal at Jenkins Creek Elementary, and her leadership and experience will be invaluable at Lake Youngs. So we're real excited to have her in her leadership there. Susie Contos. Susie is our new principal at Meadow Ridge. She's a veteran elementary principal with many years of success in Indiana. She is currently working on her doctorate at Purdue. And so please welcome Susie. Tanya Middling. Tanya is our new principal at Ridgewood, following her successful tenure in the Kent School District as a coordinator, instructional leadership. Tanya is excited to embrace her first position in the principalship. So please welcome Tanya. Ted Martin. Ted is our new principal at Sue's Creek. For the last 17 years, Ted served in the Highline School District, and his most recent assignment was at acting principal at Chinook Middle School. Ted, did you have any family you wanted to introduce today?
Well, I do. I have my wife came to visit me, Deidre, and then my 3 daughters, Amina, who's just starting 2nd grade, and then my twin 4-year-old daughters who are still in preschool, Quinn and Whitney.
Okay, thank you. Rachel Collins, please. There we go. Rachel is our new assistant principal at Kent Elementary. Rachel comes to us from Puyallup School District, where she served as a teacher and district improvement specialist for the last 8 years. And I know Rachel also brought some family she'd like to introduce.
I did. I brought my husband Peter, and he's holding our son Oscar. And I have my middle son Charlie, and then my daughter Ella, who's in 3rd grade.
Thank you. Lysander Collins. Oh, she's not here this evening. We'll welcome her another time. Shanna Watkins. Okay, we will grab her later. Marty Cleveland, or Shevland. Oh, sorry, the staple was right there. Laura Vinger. Perfect. She's the new assistant principal at Park Orchard. Laura's experience as an elementary principal, RTI leader, and an authentic intellectual work facilitator will serve her well at Park Orchard. So we're really excited to have her there. Please welcome Laura. Sarita Williams Newell. She is our new assistant principal at Scenic Hill. Sarita recently taught in the Puyallup School District since 2003, and she was a 4th, 5th teacher, and she also has HR experience in the private sector. So please welcome Sarita. Khadijah A. Shami. She is another assistant principal at Scenic Hill. Khadijah has worked in the Tacoma schools and in Saudi Arabia as an elementary teacher, grade 3 through 5, and as an instructional coach. And I know she would like to introduce some family as well.
This is my husband, Muhammad, and my son Fuad next to him, my son Hassan next to him, and my youngest daughter Amna, and our youngest son Nabil, and our oldest daughter Isra.
Right.
Wow.
Regina Hampton. Welcome to Regina. She is the new assistant principal at Mill Creek with a strong background in curriculum, including IB. Regina left Federal Way after 9 years as a teacher and administrator, so we're so excited she's joining us in Kent. And David Jones. He is the, perfect. Oh, yeah, sorry, I interrupt the coffee. We'll clap. He is the assistant principal at Mill Creek as well. He is a veteran secondary teacher. He worked for the Tacoma schools since 2003 as a business education teacher. So please welcome David. My next, Erica Hansen. Erica is one of our new assistant principals at Kent Lake High School. She is returning to Kent School District, where she did her student teaching in 1999. She served as a teacher at Tahoma High School for the last 14 years. And so welcome to Erica. And Shannon Nash. Yay. Shannon is a new assistant principal at Kentwood High School. Shannon moved from Arizona, where she served as an assistant principal and athletic director, and she started her career as a special ed teacher. So welcome, Shannon, to Kent. And Linda, Shannon would like to introduce her family.
I don't have any cute
children, but my cute fiance is here. He's Jeremy Rusing. He's also Dean of Students at Mill Creek, and he's the football coach at KM. And I have a junior volleyball player who is at KM.
All right.
Thank you. Oh, okay, so.
Pins, pins.
We're going to do our pen distribution next.
We're not going to pin them on each other, are we?
No,
That's so close.
sounds like fighting.
Oh, pen.
Pen, yeah.
Pen,
Pen,
not
not
pin. Pen.
Okay, my group can go ahead and take their seats.
Good evening, President Strauss and members of the board. Now I'm going to ask my group to come up, and please don't be disappointed. We're small but mighty.
Is Randy the group? Oh, no, there's Mary. There's Mary.
Okay, I'm going to start with the person with the longest tenure. I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Mary Newell. Mary Newell has been our nurse facilitator in Kent School District for 14 years. And in addition to this, she's also on the board of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and Multicare Hospital. She's been pivotal in getting the Medical Career Pathways program off the ground along with Dr. Potts at Kent Lake High School. And now she is the new coordinator of health services for Kent School District. Welcome, Mary. And last but not least, Mr. Randall Heath. Randy has come to us from the Kelso School District, where he most recently served as Director of Student Services. Prior to that, he was an administrator at the middle school level in Kelso and also Franklin Pierce. He's also previously served on the board of the Association of Washington School Principals, serving as the president of Middle Level Board in 10-11. And he's very happy to return to the Puget Sound area from whence he came. That's all.
I think so. I don't know.
Yes, the parade wave.
Well, good evening. I feel like I haven't done enough work this summer, considering I only brought one person and only hired one person. But as Raphael reminds me, he brings the value of that entire group all within this small package. So, yeah. So it is my pleasure to introduce you to Raphael Gallardo. He comes to us from the Highline Public Schools, where he recently served as the Learning Technology Manager. He brings to us 14 years' worth of experience in educational technology, and he is taking the place of Greg Whiteman as the Director of Technology Integration. So, Raphael. Since we bought the pens, you get all of them.
Well, that concludes the introductions that we wanted to make this evening. We are currently working on just a handful of vacancies that once we fill them with equally talented people, we'll be bringing them forward to you for introductions at a later time. With your indulgence and with your cooperation, we'd like to take some photographs at this time. So, Chris, what would you like to do?
Sure, if I can get all of our administrators to come on up and get in front. Board members, want to have you come out front.
Very challenging.
So, good evening. I would like to welcome you to our meeting tonight. I would like to excuse Director Burchard, as she could not be here due to a work obligation tonight. And I have asked Teresa Turner, one of our teachers at Kent Lake, to please lead us in the pledge tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Play ball, yep. So here we go. So I would like to welcome you again to our meeting tonight. Tonight is a meeting of the board that is held in the public to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act. We will allow for public comment later in the agenda. If you would like to address an agenda item, please fill out the blue cards that are located underneath the strategic goals in the back and bring it up to the dais. Either end is fine. If you are speaking to agenda item, please make sure that you indicate that on the cards so I can make sure that I call you during that time frame. Each person will have 3 minutes to address the board at that time. So, Dr. Vargas, any changes to tonight's agenda?
Madam President, members of the board, we would like to note that procedure 4260 was pulled from the agenda. We'd like to provide further review. It had been submitted primarily for information only and no action, but we'd like to give it a further review and then bring it back for board consideration.
Thank you. So we will start tonight with some presentations. Our first one is on the early warning indicator system dashboard. Dr. Vargas?
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Tonight we're pleased to bring you an update on the early warning indicator system. As you know, this is the project that we've been working on and looking for those early warning systems so that we can intervene early with our young people. And with the Race to the Top grant that we've received, it's allowed us to not only partner with our neighboring districts, but also accelerate some of that work. So Dr. Linda Del Giudice is going to give us an update. Dr. Del Giudice?
Thank you, Dr. Vargas, and I'd like to invite Mr. Randy Heath to come up here and join me because he's going to do the bulk of this work. And before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the work that was done by Mr. Brad Brown last year, working with our district early warning indicator system development team. Thank you, Brad, for everything you did in the previous year. We're going to lean on your knowledge as we move forward into this new year. So this is not quite the PowerPoint we're looking for. Okay, that one's the next one. Thank you. Okay, here we go. So Randy is going to give you a quick review of where we've come in the very recent past, and then give you a preview of what some of the dashboards will look like that our staff will be seeing as we roll this product out. Randy.
Thank you. Good evening, President Strauss, board members, and Dr. Vargas. I'm pleased to update you on the work of the early warning indicator system. As I arrived here in July, I quickly learned about the work that has already been done on this system here, and I met with Mr. Brown. Met with Mr. Brown, and he filled me in on what was going on. So tonight, the idea is to give you an indication of the data dashboard that we're going to be using to try to identify the kids that we have here. So let's see. Okay. So I want to just remind you that this the group that came together to develop the this whole process was comprised of the following people that are up on the screen. It includes administrators, includes counselors, and other district staff. So the purpose of the early warning indicator system is to identify students and the supports they need to get to graduation or stay on track for graduation. Technology dashboards and support teams are elements of the project at the schools. So the key is if we are able to identify these kids, then we can implement interventions at the school level to help intervene early before the kids get too far off track. And so what we needed was an easy system that was going to take a look at the indicators and give us a list of kids that we needed to target right away. And so if you look here, these are the indicators for the high school and the middle school. And we're looking at attendance. We're looking at the number of discipline incidents. We're looking at suspensions. We're looking at course failures, their GPA, and their credits. And you can see, I'll list it up on the screen here, that depending on where they are at in each of these categories, they will be either listed as a high risk, a medium risk, or a low risk. And that will trigger the team at each building to then put in place the interventions that they have identified. And each team is working to identify their own interventions at this point, and then we'll keep coming together as a group, and people will share the interventions that they are doing at their buildings, and then over time, our hope is that we will develop a list of interventions that are most effective at each of the levels, and those are the ones that will be implemented. So elementary school, we're looking at attendance, incident count, and suspensions as our early warning indicators. So just an example, back when you saw this presentation in June, these were the next steps that were going to take place, and they did. Over the summer, homeroom was brought into the district. This system was chosen as our data dashboard, which was created by School Data Solutions. At the end of last year, the EWIS planning team worked with School Data Solutions to create this tool. It was a natural pick, as it is really the only current product out there that readily integrates with our current data management system, Skyward. So it was a natural fit, and luckily, working with the people from homeroom, they were able to get it to do what we wanted it to do. And so we worked to do that. So I'm going to share just with you a few of the screenshots of what, if you were building an EWIS team, what you might be looking for if you ran a report in each of these areas, and how you might utilize that. So what we have listed up here is the attendance percentage. And so what it would do is you take your group of kids, and you can break it down however you want to break it down. So if you were someone that was working with the 9th graders, per se, you could limit it to just 9th grade students. If you were looking at the full high school scope, you could bring in all the high school students. But basically what it will do is, with a few click of the buttons there, they're able to rank order those kids. If you choose attendance as the #1 indicator, they'll rank out those kids that are the most at risk with the attendance based on the indicators, and they will only list the kids that meet one of the at-risk indicators there. So a team would be able to pull this list up and be able to say right away, okay, these are our priority students, and we need to assign right now somebody to do this intervention, this intervention, this intervention. So this is what it would look like in the attendance percentage right there. And then number of failing grades. This would be an indicator of, you can either run it by total cumulative number of failing grades for their school career, if you're looking at someone later on, or their current number of failing grades. So if you were really trying to hone in on that. And then the number of suspensions is another way you could try to find out, what is going on, those who are most at risk for that. And the nice thing is you can also run it not per each suspension, or you can do it as an overall ranking, which is the kids based on all the categories together are at the most at risk. And the team felt it was very important, my understanding from talking to them, was that this needed to be very personal. They needed to make sure that while looking at numbers, we didn't forget that every number represented a child and a kid that was at risk of graduating. And so everything that they could do to try to make it personal is what we needed to do. And one of the things that we were able to get done is there's a little magnifying glass at right next to everybody's name there that shows up here. You click on that, automatically you get more information about the child, including their picture right there up on the screen. And what that does is everyone on that EWIS team then has a clear picture of who this child is. And not only does it make it more important as far as we got to do something for this kid, but also if I'm on the EWIS team and I know that this kid is at risk, when I see them around my school, I can give them that little extra attention, knowing that, this kid, we need to do something for this student. And so making it personal was very important to this team that was coming up with this concept. And so it also brings up all the other pertinent information you would need. So basically, what are the next steps that we're looking at this point? We talked about it as a group. We brought the original design team back together again. And we said, how are we going to roll this out? We have the homeroom here. We need to get going on this. And a decision was made with that group, who's very dedicated to this whole project, decided we want to pilot it. We want to work with it this first semester. We want to get we want to get trained on it first. We want to start utilizing it and getting all the bugs out and anything that might come up. So we want to do it first before we roll it out to the rest of the district. And if they said, we've also heard some of our colleagues say, well, we're really excited for this to happen. So we're going to offer it up and say, if there's any other principals out there that really want to go onto it this first semester, they're welcome to join up and come to the training on the homeroom and do this as well. And then our idea is to have it fully rolled out to the rest of the district and everyone utilizing it by second semester is the plan at this point. So, any questions?
Questions, Maya?
So when you say everyone, are there teachers going to know this, or just the principals?
Right, and that's, it will look different in every building, because every building has been tasked with putting together an early warning indicator team. And so I think you will see it working different in different buildings at first, at least, and then trying to see what works best. I think some buildings are ready to jump right in, and some of the teachers are ready to be a part of this as well. Other buildings, it's in a different a different spot. Eventually, we would like to see everyone being able to do this. It's an easy system to use, and they could easily run a list of just their students in their classrooms.
But does it give specifics, like if a child has needs certain tier 3 or whatever it is, does it arrive at that specific level, and then does it lead the individual to the right person to contact?
Right. That would be for the individual building teams to design that in, because each building has different sets of interventions they have for each of the different tiers as far as academics. This helps identify which kids are where and helps them get the support that they need. So it wouldn't, this program itself would not identify this kid needs this. We have some other tools around that, including our iReady assessments that we're doing. I mean, there's a lot of other tools that are out there. This is one of these tools to make sure that kids do not fall through the cracks, is what it really is designed to do. If the teams are utilizing this on a regular basis, pulling these lists up and seeing, there should be no reason that a kid is missed that ended up with a very low attendance percentage or a high number of incident referrals.
Okay, one more question. And this is the information that goes to, like roadmap, for example, presented early warning indicator information. Is this the same information that goes to roadmap? And if so, we discussed also the WAKIDS information being part of roadmap at some point, and I wondered if that was discussed.
Yeah, this is still in development. At this point, the roadmap districts are mostly focusing on the secondaries. And we've met together as a team over at the ESD, and we've also met individually as districts. We're sharing the information about how these dashboards are rolling out. And I would say, I'd like to stop and just take this opportunity to say thank you to our IT department and to the folks in the development end of this for the wonderful job they did helping put Kent out in front, because we're well ahead of the other districts with the early warning indicator system. So thank you to Tuan and to Susan and to Stosh and the other folks who stepped up and joined the team and really gave a lot of their time from other projects. Yes, it is part of the roadmap, and we'll be sharing more about how the system works, but not necessarily the information about individual students.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's the same, because
Yes.
the community is getting different data, if not, so I just...
Okay, we'll have to talk offline about that one.
One of the things I would say about just early warning indicator systems in general is that the cut points that was shared with you previously really varies from district to district. So one of the roadmap or Race to the Top initiatives was to get our core group of schools to agree on what those cut points are going to be.
mentioned that.
Because even looking at the state of Washington, you go school district to school district, it really varies on how many absences is needed before you would consider a student at risk versus attendance, grades, and some of those other pieces. And so the coordination on a lot of this was really, what does that look like for our region with the kids that tend to move among our system? And as far as the system goes, the intent is that every staff member and every teacher would have access to it, and when they log in, it would automatically display their students without having to click through and identify that group, and then eventually email you as those statistics change, so that the information is always in front. You don't have to go to it. It's being brought to you.
Thank you. Karen?
Tuan, how far out are we on that one, the being mailed to people?
I think we're very close on the email piece. That's just standardizing the work. among our schools and how they want to use the system. As far as having the staff log in and have their class, that will be available day one for folks.
Okay, good. How often would this be updated? With each time there's an absence, it would just go into there?
Yeah, because attendance is done online already.
Right.
And so it's automatic. It's really the top two items. It's attendance and discipline are the two variables that can change day to day. The rest of it really doesn't change until the end of quarter process. So.
And I think Randy alluded to this, but how often would it be looked at? But if it's coming to people, then hopefully people will be using it. My hope, and I'm really glad we're doing this in the elementary, and I hope all the elementaries will be actually using it, is that we catch those kids so early that we won't have very many of them at middle and high school. You know, we can actually get them first, right, when they can still accept the help and really use it. So, let's see. Oh, elementary school students, or even if the interventions work and the kids are doing well, if they start to fail again, it'll come back up. So, okay, I just don't want them to get too far gone before they have to be intervened upon.
Well, this is a dynamic system. And one closing remark that I would make is we've always done this kind of work. We've always tracked kids who have attendance challenges, who have low grades, and or have behavior problems, but we've never really had a tool to make this easy for teachers and administrators. It's always been very laborious to do this. We did it by hand for many years, and that didn't really serve us well, so we're grateful that technology has progressed to this point.
And I'm glad to hear that each building is going to have a early warning team, because as a teacher, I could see kids, not with the highly capable kids necessarily, but the kids in the class next to me already failing fifth grade and knowing that they're going to middle school and they're really going to fall through the cracks, and we didn't have any system in place. So this pleases me a lot that we've got this. So thank you.
Thank you. Russ, any questions?
So Karen kind of made my point that I was thinking of, and that is, one, I'm curious if we did a dry run so we kind of have an idea of how many kids are in each tier in this, or we're just going to, that's what the pilot's going to be. We're going to kind of see how many kids pop up.
Yeah, the data's been live now since, I want to say, mid-June. And we've just been fine-tuning those cut points and then running it again, and waiting for some of the teams to come back to start looking at the data more specifically for the school site. And so as far as from a data standpoint, it's been live for a couple months.
So it's there. We know how many kids in each.
Absolutely.
So like how many are in the high risk? Do you know? Anybody? Take a look yet? No, not yet?
No, we're waiting. It's only meaningful on a school-by-school basis, and it hasn't been live and out to the buildings to this point. So we're looking forward to that enthusiastically, and we'll bring you more data as soon as we have it. Also, the value of this is with the current year, because when the kids start missing class, this is going to trigger it, and that's when the interventions start, and we'll be able to track the data and see if it's different from previous years.
But will we know, so if, a kid from last year, does it start anew each school year, or would we know his record from last year was 82%?
We know his or her records for as long as they're in our system.
And
so forever.
So it's cumulative?
Yes.
For attendance, cumulative? I know where grades, Fs are cumulative, but attendance is also?
The cut points for this is for this specific school year, but when they click on that magnifying glass to dive deeper, you get the full history of the student.
All right. So how many buildings are we going to go with sooner than later?
Well, everyone on that team was a part of it, and then we're opening it up to whoever else wants to. So we're not exactly sure on the number yet.
At a minimum.
Hang on
And do
a
we know
second.
where?
Okay, Kent Meridian, Kent Lake, where's Diane? Pine Tree, Kent Lake again, and then Jay is at Kentwood, Heidi's at Cedar Heights, Pat is Neely O'Brien, Sherilyn is Mill Creek. So those are the schools who will start.
So a handful.
Yeah, and if we want to make sure that it really works and we have a successful pilot before we blow it out to the rest of the district.
Okay. Well, again, my point was with what Karen said, I'd be a little disappointed if, I mean, I understand we don't want kids falling through the cracks, but I would hope that administrators are like, oh, yeah, well, we knew this. And at least it reinforces what they were kind of thinking, and they kind of know, because if you don't know who these high-risk kids, we're doing something wrong.
The deal is that we're going to have an intervention team and intervention plans, rather than just saying, well, yeah, we know this kid is falling through the cracks, but what are we doing about it?
Specific.
Who's going to do it, you know?
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so next we have the 2013-14 state test data report with comparisons to Washington State.
Thank you. Ms. Everett will get our PowerPoint up, and as she's bringing up the slides, I'd like to thank Dr. Garwi for the work he's done to put this presentation together. As you know, we don't have a full slate of state test scores to share with you as we've had in other years, but we do have some things that are common to the districts and are separate from the SBAC work that we did with the practice test. So here we go. Razak is going to take this from here and share the work that he's done.
Dr. Garwi.
President Strauss, Board of Directors, Dr. Vargas, Ms. Everett, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you about the class of 2014, and I'm going to talk to you about the graduation requirements. And from the title of the slide, you see that's the majority passed overwhelming the graduation requirement. This is a statement by Randy Dorn in response to we are failing schools. So he's going to show the data and how we are doing compared to from 1 year to a year, even though we are labeled as failing schools and failing district. So more than 90% of the 12th graders in the class of 2014, this is at the state level, passed the graduation requirement in reading, writing, and math. Our district passes at 94.5. So we are 4 points higher. 4.5% higher than the states for reading, writing, and math for the class. You see that the class of 2014, those are the kids on track for graduation. See, they start and they fulfill all the graduation requirements. This is how it works. We get the data, we test all the kids in the spring. At the end of June, OSPI pick up the data, do the scoring. Mid-July, they send the data back to us when they call it the preliminary data. We spend 2 weeks cleaning the data. They pull it back again, then they do their aggregation, then they send it back again. That's called the revised data. So now we are talking about the revised data. This is not the final. The final data is coming because we're in the middle of cleaning, so it's another round of cleaning. So this is still, that's why we cannot talk to you about the final graduation rate tonight. It's going to be probably later on in another session we can talk about the actual graduation rate. So for the tests that include the high school proficiency exam and of course for the students in high school. So the exit exam, students in the class of 2014 are required to pass the high school proficiency exam in writing and reading and one math, you see math, and either an algebra or geometry. Or they can use the approved state assessment, like they took the SAT, or they took the collection of evidence. We are doing a lot of collection of evidence for the kids. They are not doing well in the test. They're good kids, but they're not well skilled to take the test, so they take the collection of evidence. And at KM, we have very high percentage of success in this is as the collection of evidence is as rigorous as the HISP and any other test. But the kids do a little bit better because they have the whole year to work on the test. We have also another test, it's called the LDA, that's the local district assessment, that's for the severely cognitive kids. They take it and they pass the graduation requirement. So for the class for 2014, the graduation requirement, as I said earlier, include reading, writing, and math. This is, I'm emphasizing in this, but the class of 2015, we're going to add another requirement. Biology. And I'm going to come back to talk about biology and how we are doing in biology. So the class of 2015 and 2016 must meet the science and graduation requirement, in addition of reading, writing, and math. So a higher percentage of KSD students in the class of 2015 and 2016 met graduation requirement in all subjects except science. And that's probably, when we get to the science, I'm going to put emphasis that for next step, how to get our kids in the level to the state in biology. To be eligible for graduation, students in the class of 214 must earn the adequate credits and complete the high school and beyond culminating project. Again, during the session of 2014, the legislature discontinued the culminating project requirement for the class of 2015 and beyond, and they left it at the discretion of the district. I personally, last year, we went to Kent Ridge, and I was a panel for the culminating project. It was very successful for kids. I know board members, they've been there, and I saw quite a few of them there, and they enjoyed the kids' presentation. I hope that we continue the culminating project, but that's the district's decision. But it's not a requirement anymore. So the final on-time graduation rate for class 2014 will be available in February. Why in February? Because we just finished the retake in August. We just sent it. We're going to have in November another test for they call it DAPE, develop the appropriate test for the special ed kids. And so they get, and we have collection of evidence that's submitted during June. So we get all those data, and we have our final graduation in February 2015. So here is the data, and all the time I present in green the state and blue is KSD. And you can see, we are a little bit above the state in all areas, except in the science, and so in the science in Washington State, 76, and we are only in 73%. So that's an area of concern, and we're probably going to be addressed, and we're going to talk about biology. This being said, if I look at 5th grade and 8th grade science, we are 4 or 3 points higher than the state. But when it comes to the biology at the high school, we're a little bit behind. And if we don't want to catch up with class 2015, our graduation rate will go down, given those numbers we have right now. So this year, we're going to work very hard to get all the kids in 2015 to take the biology to graduate and get our graduation on track. This is for the high school. This is a reminder for the class of 2015 to 2018. We're going to do the ELA, that's English Language Arts Comprehensive Exam, one math exam, and biology, and of course, exam. That's the class of 2015 up to 20. So that's our current 12th grade, 11th grade, 9th, 10th grade, and 9th grade. They will be following all this the system. For the class of 2019 and beyond, Smarter Balance will kick in, and we're going to use the result for Smarter Balance assessment. And we use either the NGS, the next generation of science standard, or biology, if available. I gave you the table here just to make it clear about how we are doing on the graduation requirement. That's the class of 2014, and this is ELA, reading, writing, and math. And for 15 and 16, you see the biology start in for 2016. 2017 and 18, we introduced another test called the ELA exit exam at the 10th grade level. This is not Smarter Balance assessment. This is Washington State. It's called ELA exit exam, but it's based on the Common Core standard. So this is, the ELA will be taken at grade 10. Then if they pass it, then okay. Then if they don't, they take this, the 11th grade, they take the Smarter Balance assessment. So either they take this one or this one, they graduate. So we have two chances to fulfill the graduation requirements. And this is class 17 and 18. For 19 and beyond, it's all going to be Smarter Balance assessment for ELA, math, and science. And for the last page, I just want to just to explain to you our current grade level is class of 2015, and so on and so on. It goes. Our current grade 7 is class 2020. So for the for the next steps, if you don't have the slides, we need to look at the data again and see how we are doing in biology and how we can catch up for class of 2015 and not to fail the biology because of graduation requirements. And that's why you use the data, to dig in and to find where we are weakness and strength, and we built on our, on our weaknesses, and we can come up with a good, well, next year, probably by this time, we'll show you a good graduation rate, if we work hard on the biology.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Maya?
So I have one comment and a question. Do all of our high schools have biology in 9th grade now?
Most of them.
Well, we have 4, right?
Yes. Kentwood, they do the biology at 9th grade. I think Kent Ridge also. So,
I'm just curious why we still don't have, it's been 10 years since my son couldn't get biology in 9th grade. I'm going to keep asking this till we get biology in 9th grade.
Yeah, we have integrated or science sequence, so 9th is integrated 1 and then 10th is integrated 2. So it's a mix of earth physical science and biology at both levels.
But why is that? Is it because our parents are not coming and asking for it? Because it seems to me like if you're vocal enough, you get what you need. I mean, if biology is there's an exam, why shouldn't they be prepared in advance?
Right. About 6 years ago, the district went through an adoption process where we adopted CS curriculum, and those 2 curriculums were integrated as opposed to separating earth physical science and biology. And so traditional high school science sequence would be earth physical science at the 9th grade and biology at the 10th grade, but the curriculum we adopted is an integrated program. And as a result, some of the kids in some schools do access integrated 2, primarily in the honors programs. The kids that come up from the middle schools, if they're an honors student, they get placed into integrated 2.
Didn't answer me.
But is there still,
I'm sorry.
is there still separate biology classes?
Yes, AP biology, but those are often open to 10th grade students.
In all high schools?
Or 10th or, 11th grade.
Yeah. In all high schools?
No, not in all high schools, because not all high schools offer AP courses of the same subject area.
Doesn't have.
Okay.
But it's really a preference on how you approach science. And so, again, some districts continue to offer integrated science. Others offer traditional track of earth physical 9th and then biology the 10th grade.
I guess I'm just going to say it. I just wonder what sort of expectations we have with kids going into KM. That are they not prepared for more rigorous curriculum or whatever it is? We have to address that early on. And it's hard for me to believe that we don't do that for the KM kids, but the other schools have that. I don't understand it. I'm just going to leave.
If I could just speak to that for just a minute. Up until this biology became a graduation requirement, the Washington State standards for science were integrated. And so I think Kent was doing exactly how we would want us to do and present the curriculum in an integrated way to our students. And now that biology will be a graduation requirement, we are definitely going to have to revisit and see when we're offering it to students so they can have at least those 2 attempts in biology to take biology, and then have those attempts at the end of course assessment, because if they end up needing to take the collection of evidence as a graduation requirement, we need to make sure they're getting those opportunities to assess. And so we'll have to look closer at that now that the state has identified that it's not going to be an earth science test, it's not going to be a physical science test, it's going to be a biology assessment. Now that the state has defined that for us, we're going to have to look back and we may have to do some realignment. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Great, thank you. Carrie?
So if we've got, for the class of 2015, they are either taking biology now or they've already taken biology and they have taken the end of course exam and we know whether they've passed or not. And if they didn't pass and they took it a couple of years ago, what do we do?
Well, we need to test them again in the spring. And
No prep?
I'm talking about the assessment, probably one of the instructions, so we'll do some talk about how we're going to make up for this biology for the kids. The other things, we have the collection of evidence in biology right now is available, and we have a lot of kids. They submit, in June, they submit biology collection of evidence. So we kept working with them on the collection of evidence if they don't want to wait till probably the spring again to take it again.
And for the collection of evidence, there's real clear expectations of what they need to have?
Yes. Well, there is a task, and the teacher work with them, and they do the collection. Then they work for like 3 or 4 months, and then they submit the work to SPI. They score it, and it's a lot of work. Believe me, it's a lot of work. But the kids are really, some of the kids really enjoy doing it.
And I may have missed something in what you were talking about, but we only have AP biology? We don't have just a general biology class for kids?
No, it's AP biology.
So everybody would have to take AP biology? No?
No.
No?
So you take it.
No.
So the biology is embedded into the integrated science 2 as well as 1. And so when the kids finish those 2 core sequences, they've had biology. Yes. And then kids that are wanting to take AP courses take the AP biology.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I was thinking if it was integrated and there was only 1 class integrated, they only get half in biology. But if they're doing 2 integrateds, then hopefully. Okay.
And because it's the end of course, so when we submit our coding to the SPI and series, they know that the kid, they should take the exam, and they send us a booklet. Because they got the kid is enrolled in this class. So if the kid is not enrolled and they would like to take it, we put an appeal to SPI and say, this kid is available, they can take it, even though he's not taking the class, but they can take the test.
I have one more question. This summer, I don't know who all went through it, but the project-based learning, the science group, and can somebody talk about that? Is that going to help our biology push, or?
So that's what Gita, and she's
PBL, yeah. Okay, somebody knows.
We can get back. Okay.
Russ?
I
know
a little.
Yeah.
Okay. Anne's got it.
I just remember seeing a lot of people in the training room, so somebody got something out of it. Wondering.
President Strauss, Dr. Vargas, members of the board. What I do know about project-based learning is that it is really having students learn in a different way. It's turning a lot of the learning over to the students with the teacher guiding instruction instead of standing in front of the class and lecturing. And it's presenting students with real-life problems that they then have to research solutions to. In groups, they work on different possible solutions, and they present the solution that they think is the most successful. So right now, it's used in the science, in selected science classes, because it is, I don't know if you'd call it a pilot exactly, but it's not fully implemented. It's only used on a limited basis, but I do think that we plan to expand on that. Gita is leaving, but we do have somebody who's paid, a specialist who's paid by the Race to the Top, whose primary job is problem-based learning, and I'm very interested in it and would like to see it expand. And so that would be, they'd be learning science at the same time, but in a way that got the students actively engaged and thinking in a more conceptual way.
Okay, thank you.
Russ?
So no biology questions. To me, it's weird that, to me, thinking as statistically, it seems like our 12, 11, and 10th grade results would be somewhat similar, or are they taking different tests, or why the huge gap between the test scores in the different subjects? Do we have any inkling of, were they different tests? Were they, I just don't get why sophomores aren't doing as good as seniors.
Oh, because those are, they have like 3 years left. Those are, they do all the retakes, they took all this winter exam, and that's why they have 3 years ahead of them. You look at the class of 2012, we exhausted all what we have, so that's why we have high, meeting the standards high. But for our current class of 2016, they have like 10th grade, the 10th grade, 11th grade to do all those testing, and like they take the collection of evidence, they're going to take the DAPE, they're going to take and they can take the alternative SAT. So we're going to work with them for 3 years to make them reach the class of 2012.
So they're taking this, they're just taking the same test early?
So those are the 10th grade. They took the math, they took the reading, and so that's their results right now. So the 10th grade, so that's the results, that's how we stand right now. So we're going to work with them for the 11th grade, 12th grade for 2 years to make them to graduation requirements. So when all the kids, they're not fulfilling the state requirement, we know who they are, so we ask them, there's other opportunities to catch up, and we put them on track. That's what we call it, they are not, that's why we give this data to the principals to see if they are on track for graduation or not.
So 64% of 10th graders could graduate high school now? Is that what? I mean, I'm
64, yeah, 64, yes. 64. Right now, the class of 2016.
Met all assessment requirements for graduation.
The assessment, so the test, but not, they don't have the credits.
Oh, okay.
That type of thing.
They said they met the reading, writing, and math.
Okay.
So they have to work on the other, this is the state requirement.
So that's why my freshman son is taking geometry with like guys with beards. He's freaked him out first day. Okay.
Was that, I wanted to make sure you had your.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that I personally, because my daughter's a senior, getting lots of questions in regards to what the district's planning on doing going forward with culminating project. So I know we talked about it one time at a board meeting that I believe that we were going to continue with that. Okay. So that's what I've been saying. And that hasn't always been the good thing. Some of my daughter's friends are saying, wait, stop. But I think it's a good thing to continue.
The legislation are very clear. They said that it's not a requirement, but it's up to the district and up to the board if you want to continue the community project.
Okay. And so my understanding is that we are going to continue to look at, as we're looking at the biology is lower. And I know at least at Kent, like one of the things that they're doing and one of the concerns is if you have a senior that's taking that test again in the spring, you may not get that information back in time to know if the student could actually graduate. Yes. And so I know they're actually recommending that those students go through and do the collection of evidence because they have a higher chance and still take the test, but do both just because of that to make sure, so.
And really, it's not a red flag. I'm just getting the attention because we are just 3% behind the state. The state is 76, we're 73. So we have time, there's 2 years to catch up, but just bring up the problem so we got all of us will be aware about it.
Yeah, but not for the seniors this year, so there's still some gaps there. So,
yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. All right, so next we have an update on Kinder to College.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, what we have is an update. It's a report to the board, and we don't have under the reports a formal presentation, but if you have any questions, several staff are here, particularly Mr. Randy Nunez, who's just done a stellar job of helping organize and execute it through the Support Services Division.
Thank you. So are there any questions on the report from the board?
Kind of.
Okay, Russ?
So, you know, as I was looking at our state data and the number of schools in our district with Fs and As, Bs, Cs, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, one of the predominant success factors for our schools is parental involvement. And I don't know, I want to double down on this, continue to do it as intensively as possible. I love the numbers that are included in the report that match the students. Love that Scenic Hill had 69 parents. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Is there any thought that why just do it in kindergarten, but why couldn't we do it again in 5th grade, and why couldn't we do it in 8th grade? I just, again, it's going to be, you guys are going to get sick of me saying it for the next at least 1 year, if not 5, to engage the parents more. So can we look at growing this and funding it?
Yeah, absolutely, Ms. Chansky, I think, and that's part of that you'll find embedded in the college career blueprint that we'll be bringing forward, and you saw a little bit of that last year. But that's really the idea, starting very early. Obviously, with the PASA program as well, as part of that is to empower parents to be key advocates in college career readiness. But you're absolutely right with the inclusion of AVID that the board approved to restore that. There are some components in a pre-K through 16, really, college career readiness plan. When you look at the blueprint, there are actually components at every level, elementary components, middle school components, and those are the pieces that we need to fill in. Now, we do have schools that do a number of these things, but we don't have it systematically. But it is important, I believe, and we've actually had kids ask, when can we go back? I was visiting with the third graders at Scenic Hill just this week, and some of them were asking me, they went as kindergartners and they remembered it, and they want to know when they're going to go back. But it's an important aspect, particularly at the middle school level, to do that. But let me ask Dr. Del Giudice, because she's been working on this, I know, with the efforts with the college-bound scholarships and the parent conferences at the middle school and the high schools. There are components at every single level that we really need to strengthen systematically.
Right. We have a meeting coming up next week to talk about our parent involvement and engagement plans systemically, because we know we've had PASA at some schools and not at others. We need to make sure that everyone has the PASA experience. We need a plan to roll it out, and then we don't need to repeat that same curriculum annually with PASA, but to offer something else on non-PASA years. In other words, what I'm saying is we don't need to have PASA at all 41 schools every year, but roll it out in segments. As parents matriculate out of the school, more parents matriculate in, then you PASA again. But on the non-PASA years, there needs to be a plan to do something else that's meaningful and keeps the parents engaged. We've looked at other things such as natural leaders. There are a couple of other approaches that were recommended by the Parent Engagement Task Force, and what we'd like to bring you is a comprehensive approach. So we offer something at each school every year in collaboration with the parents and the principals and the staff at those schools. But we need to deal with it holistically, and we haven't done so as a district up to this point. However, that is where we need to go.
Okay, so my point is, besides PASA, so in some of these other districts, we're going to try to we're trying to engage the parents as they are in other districts and or our high-performing schools. So we know that in our high-performing schools, parents are part of that. We're not going to always get that. So we can't replicate the parent involvement, but then I think the next step is to imitate it with the teachers and the school culture. So if the parents aren't going to do it, and we're going to have, unfortunately, too many parents that aren't going to engage their children, and they're just going to repeat the generational
poverty
underperformance. Yep. So that's what I just want. Besides the PASA, kinder to college, sixth-er to college, and ninth-er to college programs, and not necessarily that, but other things. So
sure, and we agree with you, and the sites agree with you also. What we're going to need to do is make budget provisions, because we've been supporting a number of these initiatives with categorical programs, and we can't do that for all the schools in the district because they're not eligible for funding. So if we want to do it district-wide, we'll have to take a district-wide approach and adequately fund these projects.
I'm done.
Okay. Where does Naviance play a role in this? Are parents going to have any I'm still wondering about the training and who's going to get trained in this, and are PASA parents going to be trained as a train-the-trainer model, or?
I'd like to ask Dr. Hong to step up. He's been working with this. He's earning his money this evening.
Okay.
President Strauss, members of the board, Dr. Vargas. We're currently in the rollout phase of the Naviance, meaning that we're scheduling trainings with individual buildings. What Dr. Johnson has done before leaving us was really, as part of the contract, heavy on the training side for the buildings, and so we have a lot of support from Naviance in terms of how we're going to do that. So we've decided to individualize the training to each building, and so Mill Creek, as an example, we're in the process of training their staff so that they become the trainers. We're also working on a part of a Race to the Top grant number 5, I believe, where they're allowing us to pay some stipends to key members of each building, the lead trainers, so to speak, to train them as well. And so we have that process in place now. I think within about 2 weeks or so, we can come back to you actually with a schedule if you would like to see which buildings are being trained. Now, I do want to remind us that the Naviance contract we purchased for all of the middle schools except Northwood and Meeker for this year, and then all high schools.
So I guess my question is, I thought this was going to be something that will also be shown to the parents, I would think. Or
Yes, absolutely. There's an incredible support structure for the parents, and that tool will be rolled out, except we want to start with the buildings first, and then there'll be opportunities available to really push it out to the students and parents. And I've had a chance to review the program briefly, and my sense is that the request and all that is going to come from the parents and the students, because it is very friendly, web-based application that you could access from anywhere, anytime. We're scheduled to upload all of our student data September 15th, and so that's really the launch of our program, because even if you could log on, we don't have our student data uploaded yet, and September 15th is the date that we're going to do that.
Will be integrated with Skyward, or do they have to go through different logons to get to yet another program, or? We're not there yet.
It is a different website, but that's the data transfer that Dr. Hong's referring to, is taking data from our student information system and some of the other application sources and sending that off to Naviance. But as far as accessing it, you do have to go to Naviance to access it. So,
Can you build a link?
and we're working at, yes, there will be a link so that they don't have to memorize the URL for it. And we're working to ensure that it's the login and password information is consistent across the system, so it's another set of passwords or username and accounts that they have to memorize.
Okay, thank you.
Naviance also has an app, just like everything else, and so kids will be able to use their iPhones or their smartphones to access, as well as families. Yep.
Thank you. Okay.
No questions.
I just had a comment, kind of a comment question. I liked when it asked for additional information that you would like about college to support your students. The parents are requesting, even at the kindergarten, to learn more about costs of schools, which I think gives us a great opportunity, even at elementary conferences or different things, to have information available at that level. So it's good that the awareness is being there, and I'm hoping that we're taking advantage of some of that as well to make sure that information is available at a very young age. So.
And if it's okay, if I could ask Mr. Nunez to come on up and just share a little bit about the parent conference planning that's coming up, because I think that's a real key part of this, is keeping the parents engaged throughout the K-12 experience.
Board, President Strauss, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Vargas, we do have the College Bound Conference that you're speaking of coming up in approximately a month. We have had President Board Strauss be a part of our welcome, and what we've done with this event, we in our district have approximately 5,000 students who are signed up to the College Bound Scholarship, a scholarship award of up to the cost of public tuition here in the state. So it's a significant gift that these students are offered. And here in the district, we've organized a district-wide event where we invite all of our students who are signed up to the scholarship, students who are eligible to the scholarship, and of course their parents. And we've been very fortunate to have an event on a Saturday morning, and for some reason, we haven't had the best of luck with weather. But nonetheless, we've had participation that's really just blown us away. Last year, we had close to 800 students and parents show up on a wet Saturday morning to participate, and about a third of our participants have been parents. And so these are parents of 7th through 12th graders, and really asking the same questions that we see on a lot of these surveys, paying for the cost of school, what could I do to support my students? So we have sessions designed to address those questions and bring in some of the expertise from college campuses to help provide that support. And this event, we invite students every year, and so our goal is, and our vision is that we have people who return every year. So we continue that conversation.
Do you have the date of that yet?
October 11th. And I will be sending out invitations.
Okay, great.
Very, very soon.
Yeah, and I've gone to that for a couple of years now, and it is an outstanding event. The enthusiasm of the students, the diversity that's there, there's all kinds of different classes depending on what grade level you're on. Parents ask really good questions, and it is a great opportunity, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nunez.
All right, so anything else on the report? Excellent. So what we're going to move on now is to our discussion and/or approvals. The first one on the agenda tonight is 4.01, and this is surplusing of school district properties. And I'm asking for a motion to approve Resolution 1450, 1451, and 1452, declaring the Plemons, Sarskeila, and South King County Activity Site surplus properties.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or questions on the motion?
A question. So, do we have to wait to do the resolutions before we got appraisals?
No, you can do that. You have to do this before we can put it out to announce in a public notice that we're considering selling the sites. We will start the appraisal as soon as we get the appraisers hired.
And why isn't, I'm afraid to ask this to look stupid, but I don't care. Panther Lake, why is that?
That's already been surplused. That was surplused a number of years ago. And the other two that are not here are the Jenkins Creek property and the bus annex, because we have to go through the legal process with the county of separating those pieces out from the big piece.
How can I forget why Panther Lake? Sorry, I fully remember the why now.
Okay.
And when we surplused it, the whole story, sorry.
All right. It's okay, Rose. All right, so any other questions or comments on the motion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion passes. Next is 4.02, legal services contract. I'm asking for a motion to approve engaging the following legal firms to provide legal services: Prague, O'Donnell, and Gillette, school governance and other legal matters specific to board of directors and/or superintendent; Curran Law Firm, Inclusive Educational Services, Business Operations and Property; and Perkins & Coy, Human Resources, Facilities and Constructions, Cuda and Rock LLP, Bond Insurance Matters.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or discussions on the motion?
So does Curran Law Firm not do facilities and construction and human resources?
We've never used them to do that. We've always used Perkins & Cooley.
But do they have that?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Is the question, why do we have so many?
No,
I mean,
I asked the question a lot.
I mean, it crossed my mind. Why do we have 5?
Pardon?
Why do we have 5? How many?
Well, that's what we have now this year, and that's how we segmented it out when we went outside. It works.
So I'm sure you gave us this information. How much are we saving from previous year to this year by going into this?
We were pretty close to $90,000 last year savings. Now, if everything stays the same, you're probably there, but it's very difficult to, something pops up. It could be, we could have more expenditures.
I'd just add, Board Member Vangadassalam, that we started bringing all of the contracts to the board last year because we felt it was important that the board see all of the different contracts that we had. And we tend to, different firms tend to specialize in certain areas, and so that also contributes to that, plus the service records and that type of thing. So we've always felt that it was important that the board approve all these in advance for the entire year, and that you see all the law firms that we're working with.
Just comment about construction. The expertise for the construction is far greater at Perkins and Cooley than it is here in town because they have a whole staff of 6 or 7 attorneys. That's all they do.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, I'll call for the motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Next is 4.03, the approval of bid awards for milk products. I am asking for a motion to approve, the award of the initial 1 year's contract, September 1, 2014 to August 31st, 2015, for fluid milk products to Smith Brothers Farms, Kent, Washington, and B, the possibility up to a 3-year contract renewals awarded in 1-year contract increments, 2015, 2016, 2016 to 2017, 2017 to 2018, based on satisfactory performance each year by Smith Brothers Farms.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you. Is there any discussion or questions on the motion?
I had a piece of information. I know we buy in half pints. When we're buying in half gallons, what are we buying half gallons for?
In the central kitchen, use in the central kitchen.
Okay, and they can't buy it in bigger containers than half gallons?
And what's interesting, just an interesting sidelight with these 3 bids, the processor for all 3 bids is Smith Brothers.
Right.
So the other 2 firms are buying their milk from Smith Brothers. So
really?
And this year, we had another firm, they bought their milk from last year from Smith Brothers. So we're trying to keep it here in town.
Great, thank you.
And I wanted to know why there's no soy milk.
Good question.
You got an answer?
We don't have soy cows.
Okay. You're wondering to yourself.
Oh, Joshua.
Go ahead.
Okay. Did you not hear what he said? Or
No, I didn't.
Oh.
No, the soy milk, it was the inside joke.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Okay, so moving.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
So you kind of answered my question, and I actually somehow I think it's a hockey dad, works for Smith Brothers. So Meadow Sweet and Springbrook, I knew that they bought their milk from, or unprocessed or whatever, from Smith Brothers. So are they not in town? Or where is Springbrook and Meadow Sweet located?
That I don't know.
Would there ever be, are we legally bound to take the lowest bid?
Lowest responsible responding bidder.
Say that again?
Lowest responsible responding bidder.
So local has nothing to...
No, we have no policy that says we have to deal locally.
Could we? Could we?
If you wanted
It's
to add local
possible,
to all that
but
other.
I would tell you that because we buy through a large cooperative for most of our school supplies and that, it really wouldn't be advantageous.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so any other questions or comments on the motion on the table? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion passes. Next, we have a request for waiver of school impact fees. This is for discussion only. There will be no decisions made tonight. Dr. Vargas.
Yes, there is no action tonight, but we did want to give the board the opportunity to discuss the request. As you know, there's some information we provided in the backup materials, and I'll call on Dr. Stedry to lead the discussion.
Just to set the stage, what we're looking at is a mixed-use development that would be put in the Covington Town Center, which is there to be centerpiece, and Covington Elementary is part of that area. It is the proposed development includes a 156-unit age-restricted apartment community, which means someone on the deed has to be 55 or older. And it also will have housing, moderate income to low income housing, and the plot plan that we have for you, or the site plan, is attachment A. There are 3 buildings. 2 of those buildings are subject to an impact fees. The senior citizen age restricted is not. Impact fees are leveled to help the district gain funds to offset the students that would come to those schools. They can be used for things at the school, such as portables, additions to schools, stuff, furnishings that can't be used for soft products such as instructional supplies. So we have not changed our impact fees for 4 years, as you know. The information that you have there, I think, summarizes what's going on. You are being asked for a waiver of fees. And the waiver that is in the letter that's being requested is the developer would like to have a 90% waiver of the fee. By law, you can only reduce it 80%. That's a piece that I put in that material for you. The full impact fee, that they were to pay it, is $675,760. They're asking for a 10%, but you'd have to go to 20%, which would be $135,120. I think there are a couple of people here, President Strauss, who would like to speak to it, and then we can talk more about it.
Okay, absolutely. So we do have 2 cards on this agenda item. The first is Rob Hendrickson, who's the acting city manager of Covington. So Rob, if you'd like to address us from this microphone, you will have 3 minutes.
Good evening, President Strauss, board members, and Dr. Vargas. I just want to introduce myself as Rob Hendrickson. I'm the interim city manager for the city of Covington. Been in that role for about 6 weeks, and it's been an interesting challenge. But I'm here with our community development director tonight, Richard Hart, and we just want to be a resource if you have any questions on this issue as you work through it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I have one other card, Keith James.
Good evening, Board. Keith James. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to speak. I'll, of course, keep it very brief. It's not easy to come and ask for such a significant waiver, naturally. I mean, I understand budgetary constraints. I understand it's a big ask. I'm hoping that with a brief presentation, you'll see that it really is necessary to make the project work. We kind of got here by relying on what's in the Covington Municipal Code relative to fee relief. The code provides quite a bit of incentive to make an affordable housing project, such as our proposed project, work, specifically within the town center. We will be rent restricted and income restricted for what's considered really workforce housing. So incomes for one-person household of about $37,000 up to a 4-person household of just below $53,000. So this will be teachers, first-year teachers, for example, as a single household would qualify. I think the city certainly acknowledges the importance of affordable housing and worked in the incentive into their code for that purpose. I would really like to point out 2 things and then just avail myself to questions. First is really that I think providing housing first, especially for at-risk kids, for lower income families, that helps as part of the early warning system. Housing first model in terms of social services, in terms of fighting symptoms of dropout, of other issues with kids, housing first certainly helps. The project will have a business center that doubles as a tutoring center, so there's computers, there's access. Typically there's volunteers to tutor as well. With our adjacent senior building next door, there's a lot of opportunity for volunteerism in that regard. I'm not suggesting we're going to do the job of the school district, but I'm suggesting we'd want to partner and help as much as we could. Secondly, just relative to the write-up, I want to hopefully provide an opportunity to set your mind at ease relative to setting a precedent and opening the door for all sorts of additional fee requests from other developers. This is a very unique situation where the property immediately to the south is the Covington Elementary School. We're doing almost $560,000 of road building, not road improvements, but new roads that directly impact the value of that school district property. I think the fact that that property is slated for surplus, if not already, and the fact that it will be sold, and the fact that we're adding to that value, hopefully sets it apart from opening the door.
Thank you, Keith. Dr. Sedgwick?
Some context for your discussion, and that is, one is this board, as you sit, is the only board that can make the reduction in the impact fees. The city of Covington or any of the cities that we file our impact fees with cannot do that. It is, by law, it is your responsibility. They can ask, as it has happened now or taken place now, but you are the final answer to that question. I think there's some other things that I would say is, one, I'm very concerned about the precedents we set. I've been here, this is my 5th year. I don't ever remember of ever having a discussion with you about waiving of fees. The only time we've had any trouble was when the city of Kent wanted to hold off charging the developer for the new condos downtown until they sold them. The law says they have to pay the developer fee at the time they pull the permits to work. Out of the district, this is, Strauss asked me to put some of the other fees that are in for impact fees for single-family and multifamily. We've not raised our fees for 4 years, and we've kept them at that. We could have raised them, and the reason we haven't is given the economic conditions that are out there, we were concerned as a district to raise them. The other thing I would say is I'm very concerned when I look at the financial setting of the district for you to have to be the one that says that project's going to go or not. I will tell you, I don't know how they're going to do this project as thin as they're funded. And I just don't want you to be put in, and I think you have to be very careful, that you are put in a place where you're going to be feeling the pressure that if we don't do this, the project will fail. And with that, I'll open any type of questions or try to answer or go from here.
Okay, Maya.
So, Dr. Stedder, you're saying that there's no pressure, but did I understand right, this project will not move forward if they're asked to even give 20%?
That's what's in the letter.
Yeah.
That isn't necessarily perhaps what could happen. There might be some movement between the city of Covington and the contractor and us to see what we could do to do some leveling in that, but that's the only thing I can say right now. That's why this is only discussion tonight to see where you want to go.
Yeah, I'm just curious why the emphasis on. Well, it's just been brought to my attention that this particular posting to the public was really insulting to the city of Covington. I think mainly because there's a sense that this putting in something like the statute trumps the city ordinance. There was a question of why we needed to go to that extent of putting that into a public document. Instead of just stating that it's a decision that the board has to make.
Well, it's helpful information for me, and if we have to have helpful information, the public needs to know.
Well, I meant the tone of the particular, the writing of the summary of the issue. And I don't know what's transpired with the city and all of that. But it did come to my attention, and I want to bring it up. And if I may, this sort of extends to, I'm sorry, I'm getting off track, but it extends to just all of our communication in the district. I just wonder if we can start paying attention to the tone of what we're saying. Because I read information that goes out to the public, and I see that it's edited, and just adding a few words like, please understand, or please know, it makes a huge difference to our community. And I just wonder if we look at that tone of whatever goes out to the public. So I just want to state that.
All right, so back to the discussion on hand on the impact policy, or on the impact fee request. Dr. Sturdy, when does a decision, one, have to be made?
Needs to be made next board meeting if it's at all possible, because the project is at a point now where they need this information.
And I guess my other question would be, in the past, I know that the city of Kent has put in low-income housing. It's been a while, but do we know at that time what the board did, if there was any reduction of fees?
In discussion of this with Gwen Escher-Tabowski, there is no record of the district reducing the impact fees since she's been here.
And let me ask one other question. I'm going way out of order, sorry. Do we know a possible impact of students to that area as far as if there's 200 units coming in with a certain amount of 1 to 4?
I haven't gone and calculated the student generation factor, but that wouldn't be very difficult to do, and I can send that to you.
I guess the reason for my question is wondering, knowing the particular schools and knowing potential impact, because if I understand correctly, those impact fees are used to help alleviate some of that.
Yes.
But you would not, okay.
I can calculate the student generation factor for you and get it out to everybody.
I know it would be helpful for me to know what that information is. Okay, so now that I'm done monopolizing, any other questions or things from the board on the waiver of impact fees or any other information that may need?
Well, I think we'd be nuts to do it.
As far as to reduce the fees?
Yeah. I mean, it's almost $1 million. It's not my responsibility whether or not Covington can put together a good development plan. The rules are the rules. The impact fee is an impact fee, and this feels, it's on the microscopic level, it's like giving Boeing huge tax breaks and then complaining that they don't have the educated workforce to support them in the state, so they're going to go somewhere else. It just, I don't like, this feels like corporate welfare to me. I mean, no offense to our guests in the audience, but, if you got to work hard to make something happen, sometimes it's not meant to be. And I don't want to feel the sense of responsibility that we need to make this project work or not work. My whole gist is fighting for every dime and dollar we have to get. You haven't seen me throw a fit yet, but man, if we vote to grant this just doesn't make any sense. That's my feelings.
Yeah, I'm sort of along the same lines, Russ. I agree.
Any other questions or discussion? So, Dr. Studry, on getting that additional information of student impact, when do you think that you'd be able to have that?
Should be send it to you on Friday afternoon.
Okay, thank you. All right, so again, there is no action needed on this today. It was more just informational to make sure to see if there were any other questions that the board had before making discussions. Dr. Studry.
If the board is prepared to make a decision in 2 weeks, is that where we are right now as far as you can tell? Or And the reason I ask is, are you going to look for a recommendation from staff to you next week for your decision? And we'll make that if that's what you'd like.
I would like, in response to what the gentleman just spoke about, the repairs on the roads, is there a discussion on that, or how he thinks it's going to benefit?
The reduction in the fee?
No, how the work that he's doing.
Okay.
Okay, so you'd like some...
Your response on that would be.
Okay. So you're interested?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you, and thank you for those who came to speak again. It will be on our agenda in our next board meeting for a decision on that. All right, so next we have 4.05, Teacher Administration Data Board Contract with School Data, and please bear with me, this is a long motion. I am asking for a motion to approve the initial one-year contract, September 1, 2014 through August 31st, 2015, for the School Data Solutions Homeroom Plus Online Dashboard at the cost of $195,269, and the district's option to attend the initial year contract with 2 additional years, September 1st, 2015 to August 31st, 2016, at a contract cost ranging from $88,504 to $132,095, and September 2016 to August 31st, 2017, at a contract cost ranging from $80,578 to $132,095 in a one-year contract increments based on the satisfactory performance of each year by the School Data Solutions Homeroom Plus Online Data Dashboard Software.
So moved.
Thank you. I often want to say, does anybody want to repeat the motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right. So any discussion or questions on the motion? Okay. Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. We are now on to consent agenda. Is there anything that the board would like to pull from tonight's consent agenda for discussion?
I'd like to pull 502.
Thank you. Any others? You good? Okay. So I am going to ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 5.02.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'm ready here.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We'll now look at 5.02. Russ.
Oh, so I was a little confused with the amount that this means. Is it, so in the supporting documentation, are we just, all middle school salaries are now $33,000? Is that per coach, or is that what we spend in the entire district on middle school? I'm confused.
The answer is that that's an index amount that we use on which we pay the differentiated coaching amounts. It's just an index. What I can tell you is that the effect of this is that the coaching salaries will be increased 3.67% per the direction of the board.
Right. So what's the total fiscal outlay?
I don't have that number in front of me. It is within the budgeted amount that we have allotted through the budget development process, but I can get that information for you.
Well, again, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they didn't ask for this as a district. We came to them with it?
That would be correct.
Yeah. All right. So, again, it's just another opportunity to make my point. It's just weird bargaining. It's negotiating. It's for the whole district to do this. It's kind of moot. I'll still vote for it, but it's just a weird way to do business.
So any other questions or comments? So we'll go ahead and I'll call for the vote to approve 5.02 from the consent agenda. I'm sorry, we've got to call for the approval first. Approval to approve 5.02 202 from the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, so we have reached communication from the audience. So I have a few cards up here. Again, you will have 3 minutes to address the board, and I do ask that you stay within your 3 minutes to respect all of those who are here. I will call the person and then the person on deck. And again, if you could use this microphone over here. First person is Carol, is it Marguerite Shivery? Thank you. Sorry about that. And then on deck is Donna Crow.
Hi. Thank you, President Strauss, Dr. Vargas, and the board. I would like to address you on the guest teacher issue in Kent. I have been working on a state conference for family and consumer sciences since last spring. I have taken my time to go to Silverdale, to Ellensburg, and I'm going to Pasco next weekend, and I've been spending my own money for all those trips. And I was approved to go to the conference, and I found out yesterday that there aren't enough subs in the district for me to go to the conference on the 28th of October. I can go the 27th because there are subs, and I talked to Dr. Vargas today and to Mr. Hunter, and they understand the problem, but this is my chance for professional growth, and that's part of the TPEP, and I can't attend the conference as of this point because we don't have the guest teachers. So I would really like something to step up that we can do that, because this is an opportunity for me to grow, to meet with my colleagues. And so when I go to Pasco on the 27th, I'm going to have to leave there at 9 o'clock at night to come back, because that's when my duties will be finished at 9 o'clock at night from Pasco, because I can't finish attending the conference on the 28th. So thank you.
Thank you. So following Donna will be Cindy Prescott.
I'm Donna Parag, a librarian at Northwood, and a part of the bargaining team for our current contract that we're under negotiation for. I wanted to talk to you tonight about relationships between you, the board, our administrators, and our teachers. I noticed tonight when I was filling out the card that you specifically give us an opportunity to speak, but it's not a dialogue. It's kind of, we drop something into a bucket and we don't know what happens to it. So I'd like to specifically extend an invitation for you all to meet with teachers, to talk with teachers, to have an open dialogue about some of our concerns. Many districts in King County have a wonderful collaborative relationship between their board, their administrators, and their teachers. And in Kent, we teachers often feel very frustrated with not feeling like we're being heard, that our voices are not part of the equation. We know you have a difficult time, a difficult job, that you're short on time, like we all are. But we would love if you would ask us or ask your teachers why good, experienced teachers are leaving Kent in droves. I understand we hired almost 400 new teachers this year. I personally know some long-term 15, 20-year teachers that have left due to frustrations. Ask us why we're losing administrators at the district office in kind of this merry-go-round of people that don't even stay sometimes a year. And they're passionate good district administrators, and we're losing them. Ask us about our frustrations with principals training and consistency in policy across the district. Ask our high school teachers what is happening with biology and how they feel about that. Ask us about dropout rates after age 16 and how that might affect some data. We encourage you to seek teacher and community input so that you have a balanced view and a balanced perspective of what is really happening in the KSD community. We promise to share the good as well as our concerns over issues so that we can work together to make Kent a good place for people to work, for students to learn, and for our whole community and our parents as well. Let's improve our reputation so that we can attract and keep quality staff. And I want to thank the board members, too, for listening to some of our concerns over bargaining. We appreciate that two-way street that we've been having as well. And that's it. Thank you very much.
So following Cindy will be Sharon Clark.
Hi, Cindy Prescott, Kent Education Association President. I'm here to tell you about my friends in the buildings out there. They're doing the real work. They set up science experiments, teach history, read interesting stories to kids using made-up voices. They teach calculus and long division. They do occupational therapy with students, and they counsel them. They help them to pick out a great library book, and so many other important things. Educators are training up the next group of citizens. In a society that doesn't hold teachers in high regard right now, they love their jobs because they believe in children. Their workload is heavy and getting heavier by the year. Now they are adding another scoop of potatoes with gravy onto their plate with the new teacher evaluation system. And as teachers do, they will give it their all because that's what teachers do. They rise to the job. These dedicated people, these dedicated public servants deserve assistance from their district to support the extra work that's involved in this new evaluation system. They deserve it because they're working hours over their contract to teach children already. Extra compensation cannot make up for hours lost with their own families or time spent writing lesson plans well into the night, but it would help. It shows educators that their district understands and values the work they do. It shows their district. It shows that their district cares about them. Thanks.
Thank you, Cindy.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Strauss, Dr. Vargas, Mr. Hanscom, Jack really was my favorite student ever, just so you know.
Oh, thank you.
I applaud everything everybody else just said. In my classroom, when I teach a group of students something new, I give them a chance to practice. You did a really great job of teaching me something new when you sent me to that TPEP training. It was awesome. It made me feel so much better about being on this TPEP plan. It took away 90% of the fear. But I need to practice. I need time to practice. I need time to gather my things, gather my thoughts, gather my evidence. You wouldn't let me in a classroom teach students something and then not give them time to practice. You wouldn't let me. It's not good practice. It's not good teaching practice. If you don't give teachers time to practice, we're not going to learn as well. If you want me to be a good teacher, if you want me to have a good relationship with my students need to know that I am a good teacher. They need to know that I know my stuff. They need to know where my education came from. All of my diplomas are up on the wall in my classroom. When my students don't know that I know my stuff, it makes them less confident in my ability to teach them. You're asking us to take someone's word about how good they are at scoring me on the TPEP. I don't know. It doesn't make me confident. It doesn't make me feel good. I also really would like to second what Carol Marketan-Shervy said about guest teachers. I spent all of my planning yesterday and today helping a guest teacher who wasn't competent to be a guest teacher in our district. It was very disturbing. Also, my last thing, and then I will sit down. Please, can you figure out how to get Kleenex in my classroom so that I don't have to buy it? I really don't like to have to go shopping for Kleenex. I don't know what's wrong with the contract with the people who supply Kleenex, but I don't have enough Kleenex. Thank you.
So before I call this next person, I owe you a great apology. I got buried in other cards, and I did not see that you wanted to speak to an agenda item that was earlier. So Zach Scottdale, are you still here?
Yeah.
I am very sorry. I wish you would have jumped up, and so, okay. It just came in? Okay, good. Because it threw me for a loop. I'm like, oh my goodness, I missed it. So after Zach will be Elizabeth Collins.
Yes, thank you, President Strauss, School Board, Dr. Vargas. I do apologize for the order when I'm a science teacher at Kent Meridian High School. So I heard the report on the EOC, and I'm just like, I was vibrating in my chair because I'm like, I wanted to clarify some stuff because I don't feel like you were getting as much information as you needed. I was a KM piloted, both BSCS curriculums, level 1. Wow, I'm suddenly very nervous. Piloted both, and I piloted both. My first year in Kent, I piloted level 1-2. My second year, I did 3-4. I've taught 1-2 for the last 5 years. I'm back to 3-4 this year. And I want to say, in that time, the Bio EOC was rolled out by the state. And what we found was the integrated science, which had some pluses, didn't really fit the EOC requirement, because we were doing some bio in freshman year and some bio in sophomore year. But particularly at KM, we have a very high student rollover and turnover. So we've started to move it this year. I am teaching 3-4, and we are just calling it biology, even though in the book it still has to be 3-4, because that is the best way to prepare our students to pass this test, which the state has also been rewriting, and they wanted to delay rolling it out. And so it's not the greatest test. It's very odd. We've had some training, we structure in our curriculum how to help the kids pass it. I think it's starting to become successful. We just actually saw rough numbers yesterday. This morning is when I first saw rough numbers. But 1KM does have higher bio. We have IB, the IB program. We've had to get creative on finding ways to get kids more access to those higher levels. We've started letting freshmen jump into what was traditionally the 10th grade IB class, the 10th grade bio class, so that then they'd have more access to higher levels. I know some high schools have allowed all of their 9th graders to skip over. We put some requirements based on math and skill because we wanted them to be successful. So we are trying. Part of it is that curriculum. It is not designed to be done the way we're doing it, so we end up spending a lot of time supplementing and fixing it. But I want to make sure you did hear that part. Sorry, I know I had one more point. So yeah, it was sad. I'm hearing KM doesn't have advanced bio. Our IB programs are growing. We have 3 sections of IB level 1, and then there's actually a 2-year program. We're pushing it but now the issue that comes, we actually now allow some kids to skip the integrated 3-4 class bio to take chemistry so they have more access. So that's also affecting our scores because they are required to take it as of sophomore. Some of them have not had any bio yet. And we set up to the understanding of the kids was we were letting you skip bio, you have to take IB or community college bio class. So because we want them to have that, but we also want them to have access. So I just wanted to update your information. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Zach. So after Elizabeth will be Leslie Betke.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Collins. I'm with Washington Education Association, and I'm one of the UNISERV representatives for Kent EA. I wanted to speak first on behalf of Lori Gillespie. She's a 2nd grade teacher. She had to leave. She was the woman sitting in the back with the world's most well-behaved child who sat through the first hour and a half of the meeting in complete silence. But he finally had enough, and so I said I would speak on her behalf. She wanted me to make sure that the board knew that as a 2nd grade teacher, she works late every night. This last week, she's worked until midnight every night planning and grading and preparing, and that's just doing her regular job. That doesn't take into account any of the new work that's going to come from TPEP and all the other things that the district finds for teachers to do. She wanted me to say that working that much while she finds it rewarding makes it very difficult for her to be a mother and to take care of her family. And she has a hard time balancing the two and is not sure when she's going to reach the point where she can't balance them anymore. She wanted me to make sure that I told you that. And so I'm bringing that to you tonight. Lori's like a lot of teachers in our district. That they work late, and everybody here has already mentioned that before. They work long hours, they work on the weekend, they do it without a lot of compensation, and they do it without a lot of appreciation. They've prioritized the new evaluation system. They're dedicated to making TPEP work. As an employee of WEA, I have to say I am really, really, really proud of how remarkably accepting of a new evaluation system your teachers in Kent have been. It's not the case everywhere, and they are dedicated to making this work. I'm saddened that the district doesn't seem to have the same dedication to making TPEP work. We have been bargaining since June over this, bargaining since June. We've had canceled sessions canceled at the very last minute that we were prepared for. We've walked in prepared and not been met with the same professional regard by the district, who's walked in completely unprepared. That's not, like you said, the way to do business. That's a weird way to do business, and it's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate that we've come to a spot that we're so close to being able to settle something that's fair, that's going to work for the teachers, that's going to be good for the kids, that's going to increase instruction and the quality of instruction in your district. But we're far on a couple of things, and one of those things is time. Teachers need more time. If they're missing time with their family, if they're working till midnight, they're stretched too thin to be able to do all the things that you're asking them to do, and it's time for the district to prioritize teachers.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, President Strauss and members of the Kent School Board. I'm Leslie Bedke, lead negotiator for the Kent Education Association, representing over 1,900 members and educators. I'm here tonight to update you on the status of contract negotiations between your administration and Kent teachers. Since spring, KEA and your bargaining team have worked hard to update our collective bargaining agreement, and we've made a great deal of progress on several issues. However, we haven't reached agreement on several key contract provisions, mostly involving the state's rigorous new teacher evaluation program. There's been a tremendous focus on the new evaluation system across Washington and even at the national level. Washington's teachers and principals are leading the campaign to strengthen our evaluation program so that it provides the feedback and support teachers need to help every child be successful. Kent teachers are strongly committed to making sure our evaluation system is successful. We're proud of our work. However, we need a similar commitment from you, the Kent School Board. Heaping more demands and higher expectations on Kent's teachers without the necessary time, training, and support is a recipe for failure. Unfortunately, instead of continuing the hard work necessary to reach agreement, the administration bargaining team issued a take-it-or-leave-it ultimatum via email, creating a serious setback to negotiations. Here are the major unresolved issues. Teachers need additional time to work on their new evaluations, which are required by state law. For the evaluations to be of value to teachers, principals, and ultimately students, teachers need sufficient time to work on them. It's not reasonable, nor is it realistic to expect teachers to spend unpaid personal time working on their professional evaluations. Teachers need professional development related to writing student growth goals, measuring and using student growth data, which by state law is an essential and major part of their evaluations. The entire evaluation system is predicated on the continual professional growth of teachers. It's unfair to subject teachers to comprehensive new evaluation system with higher standards and expectations without providing them the training they need to be successful. Another important element in the success of our teacher evaluation system is principal rater reliability. We need to ensure that principals across the district are well-trained and proficient at evaluating teachers under the new system. Without consistency and fairness on the part of the evaluators, teachers will not have faith or confidence in the system, and it will fail. And finally, while it's not directly related to teacher evaluations, the issue of substitute teacher pay does relate directly to the quality of our teaching staff. We need competitive salaries to attract and keep best teachers.
Thank you, Leslie. All right. So that concludes tonight's communication from the audience. Dr. Vargas.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Just a few announcements. We're beginning televising these board meetings, and we've received information from Comcast in terms of some limitations on the time. So at the next board meeting, we'd like to go over those with you and how we're going to try and work through that by having the full broadcast using our technology. I just want to also update you on the opening of school enrollment reports. Overall, our district's enrollment is down about 295 students from our projections. The largest enrollment decline was 247 at the elementary schools, and Lake Young's was actually down 108 students from their projected enrollment. They had the largest decrease. The enrollments at the middle and high schools are within our projection parameters, and our staffing at the elementary schools has been adjusted as of the 6th day. I'm pleased to say that there's been no loss of teachers or transfers. And based on the 6th day of school, the district had 829 high school students enrolled as running start students. That we continue to be the district with the largest number of running start students in the state of Washington, and I think that number will continue to grow. Also want to let you know we received notice from OSPI that our applications for our fresh fruit and vegetable program has been approved, so that means Daniel, Scenic Hill, Kent Elementary, Park Orchard, East Hill, Meadow Ridge, and Springbrook were funded, and that allows us to provide a wide variety of fresh fruits and vegetables to our students, so we're excited about that. Also, we are wrapping up the draft annual report, and so if you have any last-minute changes from the comments that were there, to just let Chris know, and we'll make those. We also have the new school calendars, which I think you should have, that have come out, and I want to thank the communications and tech teams for putting all that together. They did a tremendous job. We're excited about those. Also, just a note, October the 16th is our Educate the Educator event again. If you know, we started that 3 years ago in our partnership with the Chamber, and that continues to grow. It's going to continue to be at the Red Dot Corporation in Tukwila. Not to forget, we have our ribbon cutting for the Kent Valley Early Learning Center tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And we have a huge banner, and the kids are putting their handprints on it, and that'll be ready. That'll be unveiled during the ribbon cutting. So we're very excited about that. And just a reminder that there's no meeting next Wednesday.
Great. Thank you. All right. So we'll move on to board reports. Karen, do you want to go first?
I'm going to pass. I'm still on vacation, I think.
No problem, Maya.
I just have the Kent Food Bank fundraiser happening October 10th. If anybody's able to join us, I'm recruiting.
You're recruiting?
As a board member. So if anybody would like to be a table captain, contact me.
When is that again?
October 10th, 7 to 9 a.m.
Thank you. Russ?
So did some filming. We're going to get to know the board. Community's going to get to know us a little bit better through our pictures and videotaping. So that was kind of a fun experience, I guess. Chris, thank you for making me feel more comfortable. Where is he?
He's there.
And first day of school, took my kids. It's organized chaos. And Linda, I really appreciate the fact that you were out there. And I'm sure other administrators and Dr. Vargas, I know you were out there quite a bit. That's a big deal to me. So it was really nice to see you out there. My kid's portable was still hot. Be that as it may. Other than that, we're just getting going.
Okay, great, thank you. I do have a report from Agda that she wanted me to read, so I'm going to try. I'm going to tell you. So this summer, and this is her writing because it sounds really weird to say, this summer President Strauss, Dr. Vargas, and other staff members and I met with Jill Sells, the Executive Director of Washington State Reach Out and Read. Their mission is to prepare our youngest children to succeed in school by partnering with doctors to prescribe books and encourage families to read together. The purpose of this meeting was to explore ways we could support each other's work in parent engagement and preparing students for school success. And it was very interesting. It's a great program as far as they provide books to doctors, and the doctors are actually have the kids do some reading, do some assessment, and help that way as far as introducing books to children who may not necessarily have books at their grade level. Audra goes on to say, this weekend I met with our board intern, Camille, and I'm going to pronounce her last name wrong, so I'll say Camille C. Camille is researching the school levy lid policy and exploring options for the Kent School District to be able to collect all voter-approved levy dollars. We primarily discussed the legislative strategies for changing the current policy. September 19th through the 20th, I, meaning Agda, will be attending the Washington State School Directors Association's Legislative Assembly. The agenda includes presentations by the Governor's Office and legislators, including Representative Pat Sullivan, and action on the legislative proposals, including submitted by the Kent School District. Agda has a request that before February 19th, please review WASDA's lengthy legislative assembly guide and send her your input, and let her know what your top 10 priorities are and any proposals that concern you. I will ask, just so we don't get into violating Open Public Meeting Acts, that you send those directly to Agda, not CC the whole board, please. And then also, Agda would like to invite interested board members to join her next week's at a monthly meeting of some local school board directors. It's Tuesday, 7:30 to 9 a.m. at a coffee shop by the Puget Sound ESD. It's a group that started meeting, a group of 3 meeting about early learning and expanded to a group of about 8 interested in equity issues. And they're currently developing a Leadership for Equity project, which will provide professional development for school board directors to support us in implementing equity policies in order to reduce or eliminate the achievement gap. So if anyone's available to join Agda, you'll be going? Okay. I want to.
Do we need to make sure that there aren't 3 of us there?
That's one of the reasons why I'm asking.
Yeah.
So if Agda's going and Maya's going, then we will be good. And Camille will also be attending the Legislative Assembly with Agda. Cool. So that would be great. Thank you. Okay, so that was the end of Agda's report. I just have a couple, as you know, we've had to move our board retreat. And so I have 3 possible dates, and I need to know which would work for the board. We're trying to accommodate everyone's schedule. So the possible dates are September 29th, September 30th, or October 1st. So that's the Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday night in that last week.
And we don't have anything on that Wednesday.
Correct.
So I'm open for anything.
Okay.
Must be nice.
But everything else that's been mentioned in the middle of October, I'm not, so.
Say that again.
So either the 29th, 30th, or the 1st of October. So 29th of September, 30th of September, or 1st of October.
What time did we say?
It would be starting probably 5:30.
29th is definitely way the best. 29th is harder, and 1st is out.
29th is best, 30th is harder, and 1st is out. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, so 29th.
29th is better.
29th is better for you as well? Karen, are you okay on the 29th? I'm okay on the 29th. Okay, board retreat will now be on September 29th.
Time?
5:30, and on 5:30, more details to come.
Again, the retreat is a misnomer.
Board
At Green
work
River.
planning session on past, anyway, okay. And then we will be, meaning Kathy, I guess I shouldn't say we, Kathy will be sending out some dates in regards to the strategic planning committee meeting that we talked about before. We talked about it last meeting about bringing the committee back together, and she'll be sending out some dates to us. So when you get that, if you can respond quickly to make sure that we can get that secured with our committee as well as our facilitator. And I think I also did the filming. And I guess I'm looking forward, I had to get special clearance so they could come and film at work. But it should be fun. So with that, I do appreciate everyone being here. I know that school's just started and there's still lots going on, and but I do appreciate everyone being here tonight. And we are officially adjourned. Please have a safe drive home.